All right, what's up? Hey, what's going on? Let's get into it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Come into the room. Okay. Come into the room, please. Welcome. I heard about this Kanye West situation, and I want to talk about it because I'm just like, y'all just let that go. I mean, he's really blaming his mother here, and we're just gonna let that go. We gotta talk about it. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah. Okay. I don't know who this person is, but they left a comment saying, I guess answering my poll, and the poll was, what do you think took the black man out the home? Okay. And this is definitely one of those conversations that I'll just be honest. I feel like it's a low vibrational conversation. It's not something that, I've never had this conversation in, you know, swanky spaces, right? Black men aren't trying to have these conversations in swanky spaces either, right? So to me, it's a low vibrational conversation because it's not based on anything but ego, projecting and deflecting and lies. And misogynoir, right? But yeah, Kanye West recently, all right, he's been doing a lot, right, in his divorce shenanigans with Kim Kardashian, right? He's been doing the most. And recently he has gone to blame his mother basically for his father not being in his life. And I just thought that was really interesting. So what I want to do his mother basically for his we got echoes here. Okay. So what I want to do is Black Widow Rose says, I feel like it's a low vibrational combo too. Exactly, right? It's like, let's be very clear. The reason I don't talk about these things a lot on my channel is I feel like it's a low vibrational conversation. The facts are the facts. And I'm not someone that likes to keep going over the same thing over and over again when it's not based in truth. I don't think that helps. But I know y'all like to hear about it from time to time, okay? A lot. And again, this is being brought up. And this is not the conversation either, believe it or not. Okay, the conversation is what was in the thumbnail of the video, which is, are inconsistent fathers better than an absent father? Right? So obviously, you see how we do it over here? You see how we bring the vibrations up? Okay. All right. So you see how I brought that up? Okay. Because what we're not going to do is continue to perpetuate BS. We're not going to do it. Right. So the poll was me being snarky. All right. Because there's a lot of snarky people over here in these YouTube streets. So I decided to get snarky on back. Okay. And let's see what the answer to the poll was. 93% of you said what took the black man out the home. Survey says failure to provide. Okay. It wasn't Dwight man, welfare cheese, and your mama. Failure to provide. All right. That's what the survey says. All right. So thank you for answering my poll. Excuse the noise. My husband's going in and out of the garage. If you can hear that, because I can. They know they love and enjoy degeneracy and have accepted it. They also know they will not strategize to make the collective Black families better. They don't care about legacy, right? I'm sorry. Like, it's like, why do you laugh if you care? Look, I'm supposed to care about myself. I'm not gonna root for a losing team. Never. If I'm watching football, which I don't, because I don't care about football. Okay. If I'm watching football, I start rooting for one team, other teams start doing better. I switch sides. I start rooting for the other team. That's why they mad. Right? You mad? But we're talking about survival here. Survival. All right. My husband put me onto RPGs. during the panty. All right. And one of the themes, it just, I've been playing a lot of zombie RPGs and watching zombie shows, right? All of Us Are Dead. That's a really great show on Netflix. One of the things that they always say in zombie video games and movies, right, is simply survive. Survive. At a base level, that's what the body wants to do. That's what your cells want to do. I know a lot of people that talk about these issues don't understand evolution. Okay? But when the world was covered in water, right? And most of the world was water. Something with cells that you came from was in that water, swimming around, having time of their life, not thinking about land. But stuff was happening. Things were happening. And the cells, your cells communicate. And what your cells tell you are survive. Survive. That's what cells that work tell you. So whatever was in that water took the first step on land. Did y'all know that, Dusties? Okay. So survival is the name of the game. All right. I'm interested in the survival game. I'm not interested in the fighting other people's battles games. Okay. It's laughable and it's a joke to me because y'all don't want to hear the truth. Y'all don't want to acknowledge the truth. I'll drop the link right now. I'm going to do it. All right. And anyone that I'll drop it in a little bit because I want to get some stuff out first before I bring you guys on. But I want, please stick around. Stick around. If you disagree and you can intelligently argue your point. If you can't, shut up. Okay. Period. So I was really surprised in this hoopla that's been going on with Kim and Kanye. Kanye. That he blamed his mother for the reason his father wasn't in his life. And I'm like, when has that happened? Has the mental illness really progressed that bad? What's going on? So first, let me bring up to y'all, okay, where he says this in his social media. And since he said this in his social media, he has since deleted a lot of these posts. But, you know, the internet saves all. So first, let me share the screen. Sorry for all these. Sharing. All right, so y'all see that? So in this Instagram post that Yeezy recently put out in his war against the Kardashians, because he's mad that he's no longer his preference's preference. He's mad that the reason he chose his preference is now the reason that things are difficult for him. Because a preference is not going to put up with what y'all have conditioned Black women to put up with. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Okay? And these guys will get on here only knowing the preferences, which are Beckisha's, that would bother to sleep with them. And it's like, you don't know these women. Like, I grew up around these women. I went to school with these women. I've been in these women's homes. I'm telling you right now, they're not going to put up with y'all BS. That's why most of them don't and never would. All right? So let's take a look here at what he says. He says, I will no longer put my hand through a blender to hug my children. My mother took me to Chicago when I was 3 and told my dad if he came to Chicago, he would never see me again. So I bought the house next door. And what he means is he bought the house next door to Kim Kardashian so that he could see his kids, but didn't want to stay in the house when he was there. And see, I've seen these Keeping Up with the Kardashian clips. It's not a show I watch at all, but you know, being into social media and whatnot, I've seen the clips. I've seen the clips, and the bottom line is, okay, he didn't want to stay in the house with her when he was married to her, but now he wants to buy the house next door. Well, most of y'all can't afford to do that. Most dusty caliber men can't afford to do that, right? And I believe that it's his ego, you know, megalomaniac personality that puts him, you know, gives him that dust. You know, all that money he's got, and you know, he's very creative. I love his music, but the ego is out of this world. The ego is out of this world, and she put up with it for as long as she could, trying to get this image, right? Trying to be a woman that's married and a mother of a lot of children. But I mean, it's only so much you can put up with, right? So a lot of times in the clips, what I've seen her talk about is the fact that he didn't want to stay in LA with them. He wanted to be booping around. I mean, there's one clip where she's crying and she's like, you know, I wish, and it reminded me of Vivian Cash. All right. And if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. Is Johnny Cash's first wife was black? Question mark, people. Pay attention to punctuation, okay? So that's the video that I did. And what I learned from that research was that one of the reasons that Johnny and Vivian ended up getting divorced was because he was this rock star, right? He, you know, rock country star, right? And he, you know, he wanted to party. He wanted to be on the road. He wanted to be that musician, right? And Vivian, his first wife with African-American ancestry, okay, which does not mean that she was black. And I stated that in the video, but people will watch the video and be like, she's not black, you're black. Shut up. I can't stand. Anyways, Vivian was like, you know, I wish I could be that wife for him, but I'm a mother as well. And I have to stay and provide, you know, consistency for my kids. And Kim felt the same way. At the end of the day, she was like, it's not beneficial for 4 kids, you know, at these young ages to be on the road, not being able to sleep, having to sleep on a tour bus, having to do their homework in an RV when we work this hard to have all this money to provide them with consistency. That's not going to work. And she was like, I wish I could be that wife that was on the road with him, and that's what he wants, but I can't, right? And she was like crying. It's a big thing, right? So it's not like he didn't have the option to stay home. He had the option to stay home. But instead, he bopped around, and when she went through with the divorce, now all of a sudden he's buying the house next door. Games. I bet you he'll never be in that house. Let's see how often he's in that house, right? Because it's so funny that when you start talking about child support with these guys, you give the man custody. Please give these dudes custody. I have advocated for that for years. Give them custody. See, I would never raise a man's child. That's number one. Rule number 1 to be a boss is never let a clown try to play you. If he play you, then rule number 2, leave his baby at his mama's house. Let them take care of it. And I've told you guys this before. I'm a person that likes to study the world, okay? You look around the world You look at how women handle being left with a man's child. They will leave that child with the man's family on the doorstep. Knock, knock. Ding dong ditch. They will leave that child at the market, at the open market. Most women in the world are not going to raise a man's child without his help. They're not going to do it. What do you see here in America? Well, I told you guys this as someone that went through the American foster care system. I told, oh, what's up, y'all? Shout out to the room. I said, come into that room, come into the room. And you did. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Amzy Blues, what's up? Naima, good to see you. Oh, thank you, Naima. So this is something that I actually saw on Mocha Mommy's channel. Shout out to Mocha Mommy. You know, I was just thinking this today when I was watching Call Me Coco's live like an hour or so ago. Okay. I was like, you know what I love is that we still have Black women empowerment spaces. We still have them. They're rare. Okay. But we still have Black women empowerment spaces. And I think me, Mocha Mommy, Call Me Coco, My World, Samantha Cooker. There's so many Black women out here that we're still about that. At the end of the day, it's about Black women empowerment. And we're not putting anybody on any pedestal. We're just telling the truth, trying to do what's best for our people and our communities. And most importantly, what's best for Black women and children, right? Because men can take care of themselves. So, and a part of that for me has always been wishing every Black person well, because the better we're all doing, the better we're all doing, but you got to have accountability. So what is Tbmoth? Okay, Tbmoth stands for, again, this was on Mocha Mommy's community tab, and I thought it was hilarious. It's called Took Black Man Out the Home. That's what it stands for. Took Black Man Out the Home. Okay. And yeah, I really, if you're in the mood for it, leave me a comment below. All right. And let me know what Tbmoth. Was it Dwight Man? Was it government cheese? Was it feminism? Okay. None of these things took the men out of anybody else's home, but Tbmoth. Okay. I love it. I love it. Mocha Mommy, it's good to see you. Mocha Mommy says, not too many other people are having these debates about absentee fathers and whose fault it is. Exactly. It's just like, let's spew a bunch of false statistics, right? And I remember I was in a clubhouse room. The ghetto, in the ghetto, and his mama cried. Okay, that's what Clubhouse is. It's the ghetto. I was in a clubhouse room, and I was saying, these are things that I care about as someone that teaches Black children, wants to see our communities doing better. It's not because I have, you ain't heard me. I didn't fall for the okie doke. I promise, ain't none of y'all broke my heart. Nothing. And they love to have this thing with, you wasn't chosen by, let me tell you something, I get hit on by Black men every day. Okay? Shit don't never stop. So what are you talking about? So it's not because they didn't hit on me. It's none of that. I just want to call out the dysfunction and progress our people, truly. And I think that a lot of these guys that claim to be for Black families obviously are not, because they will never, and certainly not the Pygmesia sphere. The Pygmesia sphere is looking for crumbs. They're looking for kibbles and bits. Kibbles and bits! Kibbles and bits! They're looking for kibbles and bits. But they're not looking to unite Black families, because you got to have the hard conversations with the people that follow you. You got to have hard conversations. I was talking about stuff, and ain't nobody want to hear that. When I was saying, don't put any group of men on a pedestal. When I talk about how we need to be fit and healthy for ourselves and for our families. When I talk about vetting and practicing discernment, right? Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. Ain't nobody got to rhyme with that. Nobody wants to hear it. but yet and still I'll have the hard conversations. And I know this from experience, because in my own personal life, I try to have the hard conversations with people and they don't want to hear it, you know? But again, I think it's important. If you truly care, you're going to have the hard conversations. And like I said, I'm going to drop the link because I want somebody to tell me that this isn't correct, right? And we're going to get into the topic of the video, but I just wanted to point out how Yeezy literally, and before I take this off the screen, I'm going to read it one more time. He says, I will no longer put my hand through a blender to hug my children. Here we go. That's that victim mentality, right? What do you mean you have to put your hand through a blender? You have money, you have resources. What are you talking about? Again, I've said this before. Men don't make life easier for the women that they had children with. They don't. So the expectation that this woman that you're divorced from or no longer with. So the expectation that this woman has to make your life stay as easy as it was when you were married, it's ridiculous. She doesn't have to do that. You're not doing it for her. Nobody does that. But the reason that Black men expect this is because of Black male worship culture. Their mothers coddling them, the coddling. And it's so funny when I see them talking about like women being coddled in this society. And I'm like, y'all really gonna say out y'all mouths that Black women are coddled, all the work we have to do? You're really gonna do that? Fuck out of here. Okay. So took Black men out the home. Okay. I will continue. My mother took me to Chicago when I was 3 and told my dad if he came to Chicago, he would never see me again, which makes no sense. This sounds like one of those lies that they say, and it's weird. It's weird, and she's not here to defend herself. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. So I bought the house next door. So he bought the house next door to Kim, even though he wouldn't stay in the house that they shared. He bought the house next door. Again, this is something most of them cannot afford to do, to try to flex and play games. I dream of a world where dads can still be heroes. I mean, dude, you can be the hero right now. I'm pretty sure your kids don't want you like bashing their mom. You could be the hero at any point. You want to step up and do it. So, playing the victim, as they oft do. So he says this. And then I remembered a video that came out not too long ago. I want to play that video for you guys. Remember this video? When he was crying? Remember? And everybody's like, he was crying, mental health. Everybody got mental health issues. Everybody has a crying moment. It is what it is. He chose the stage. Most people have to cry to their lonesome. Okay? So I'm going to play the video. I'm not making fun of his state of mind, but we need to evaluate what he says in this video. All right? Oh, no, that's not it. Okay. Okay, so here's the video. Let's take a listen to this video. Was from 2020. Let's take a listen. Interestingly enough, his wife did divorce him after that speech. Interestingly enough, she divorced him after that speech. I think that was like the final straw, because this is the speech where he says that, he basically was like, we don't need to have kids right now, right? And that his daughter wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for Kim. saying like, I'm not going to end this pregnancy, right? This is the speech. And I really feel like she had enough. So interestingly enough, she did divorce him after that speech. But let me play that again. Let me know if you have a hard time hearing this or anything. Yeah, let me continue playing. Oh! So you've admitted that your mom saved your life, but you're going to sit up here and say your mom was the reason your father wasn't in your life when he didn't even want you to be here? These are the things, these are the mind games that these guys do and pull, right? And I just think it's so weird and funny because, again, they're like, yeah, give the father custody. Y'all ain't going to take care of those kids. You see, you have to be qualified to get custody of a child. You don't have to be qualified to pay child support. That's something you can do, right? You don't have to take classes. You don't have to prove it. You just got to pay your child support. Why don't they want to do one of the only things that they can do, right? So now they're all saying, oh, yeah, we want custody. We want custody. You know, I saw that lead attorney video where he's like talking about child support and he's like reviewing this black guy that works at the post office. And he's like, oh, he got 50-50 custody, physical custody and guardianship of the children. So he shouldn't have to pay child support anymore. Okay. And a judge ruled he didn't. Then the mom goes and files for welfare. Now the guy's saying, she said I wasn't in the picture. Yeah. I mean, well, technically you're not in the picture, right? When she has the kids. But let's say that she was lying. Okay, which a lot of people do in some way, shape, or form to the government, when it comes to money. A lot of people do that. She's got 3 kids. I believe the guy had 3 daughters. They got 50-50 custody. After he went to court fighting like hell so that he doesn't have to pay child support anymore because they have 50-50 custody, she doesn't fight him. She goes to the welfare office and says, I need more money. I need more help. And he's like, well, she doesn't want to get a job. I mean, she's got 3 kids. I don't know what their ages are, but you'd rather have a stranger watch your kids than their mother? That's 1. 2, and a lot of these Dusties don't understand this when it comes to child support. Again, I grew up in courts. Okay, I've been in a lot of courtrooms. Period. I just have. So I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of cases. The cases are real. The people are real. The rulings are final. Okay. I've seen a lot of. I'm not just talking about Judge Judy. Okay, in real life, but one of the things that a lot of these Dusties don't understand is just because you guys have 50-50 custody doesn't mean that you don't still have to pay child support. Because if you make more than the mother and the mother needs money, that's where the money has to come from when she needs money for these kids. Okay, so say, the guy's making $50,000. Okay, $50,000 a year. And the woman, and then they break up, but they have 50-50. Do I think the woman should get a job if her kids are not, if the kids are going to school? Yeah, I do. I think she should get a job if her kids aren't in school. I do. If you laid up and procreated with a Dusty and he doesn't want to pay child support, you need to get a job and do everything you can so that you're not dependent on him. I think that's very clear. So what she did to not be dependent on him, because she couldn't be, right, is that she went and asked the welfare office, I need money, right? I don't have any money for these kids. And the guy's like, well, if you give her money, then she'll never get a job, right? And again, I don't know the ages of the kids. It's not up for me to decide. I think that she should get a job. if the kids are old enough to go to school and she can have a job while they're at school. I think she certainly should do that. But again, if you're making 50 and she's only making 18,000, whatever little job that she could get, right? That's not enough for her to take care of the kids when they're with her. So she needs more of your money. You can't just be like, well, I'll give 50% to the raising of the children, because that's what they're saying. What they're saying is, I will contribute 50% to the raising of the children. Anything more, and I want to contest that in court. These are your kids. They have to be taken care of, you know? And these guys are in their feelings because the mom might take $20 and get her, you know, her hair washed or something. It's like, dude, y'all not paying a lot. $600 a month for 3 kids. I spend more than that on my pets. And he's sitting up there fighting it tooth and nail. Tell me, so I take care of my kids when they're with me. What about when they're not with you? Do y'all care? Y'all sound stupid. I take care of the kids when they're with me. But 50% of the time they're not with you. And they still need to be taken care of. What don't you understand about that? Kids don't starve so you can teach your baby mama a lesson. It don't work that way. So, you know, and then I think a lot of the reason why they mad, what's up, Sammy, is because they want to use that money to lure in the next woman, right? They want to guarantee the next woman, hey, I have money, I have funds. It doesn't matter that I have 3 kids, which to me, you're out of here. Because it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out of here. He's out of here, okay? Umpire shit, okay? You're out of here. I don't want no guy with no 3 kids, 2 kids, 1. Rocket countdown. I don't find men with kids attractive. All right, unless they've got that Bezos money. Unless they've got, you know, Elon Musk money. I promise you I don't find them attractive. So this is something that I think a lot of Dusties are leaving out of the conversation. Okay, is an understanding that the child, you're not supposed to support the child 50%. You're supposed to support the child. Period. The government is not here to help take care of your kids. It's not designed that way. In fact, when they place these kids in foster care, oh yeah, what was I going to say? In America, when these Dusties make these babies out of wedlock, the moms leave them in foster care. So many biracial. Shout out to Naima. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. There's so many biracial children in foster care. So many. This is what I saw firsthand. Okay? They don't raise those kids. You know, they're starting to more and more because, hey, if you pick them, you chose them, right? But typically, only Black women raise Black men's kids for free. And they're ungrateful for that. And that blows my mind. Because I'm like, how are you ungrateful for it, bruh? They're ungrateful for their mothers raising them. I mean, that's what he shows us by talking about my mom didn't let my dad. She said my dad, if he came to Chicago, is that what your daddy told you? Is that what he told you? And your mother's long gone and can't defend herself? I wouldn't give a damn what my deadbeat daddy said about why he wasn't in the picture. I don't believe that. Okay? Because he allowed his children to grow up in foster care. And that's why I'm going to allow you to rot. Can't come to me for $1. Can't come to me for $1. That's what you get. That's what you deserve. Don't come to me talking about you homeless, bruh. Because I don't care. I don't care. Don't do it. You didn't care when I was a kid with nobody growing up in foster care. And, you know, my story, my mother passed away. So I know for damn sure he couldn't say that my deadbeat bio dad could never say that my mom stopped him from seeing us. Speaking of when deadbeat dads pop up, right? Because they're poppers. They like to pop up. All right. I know a lot of people, there are a lot of people who have deadbeat dads who really never even met their dad or saw their dad. Right. And so that's one element of it. That's the absenteeism. Then we have the inconsistent dads, the pop-ups. My deadbeat bio dad was in between those two dynamics. Okay. And I remember when he would come over to visit. He could never visit unless he could spend the night. Right? And I recall he didn't sleep on the couch. He didn't sleep on the couch. Now, people say it doesn't matter if you're married. My parents were married. It don't matter. You're not in the house. You're not in the bed. He didn't sleep on the couch. So these men are telling these women, if you want me to come over and spend time with my child, if you want $20, if you want $50 for our children, you know what you got to do, right? You know what you got to do, right? Don't mind my doll collection, guys. Don't mind the doll collection. Okay? Family tradition. You know what you got to do. You know what I want. I don't know what you want, and I don't care. Dust mite, be gone. So, now let's get into it, yeah. The absenteeism versus the inconsistent dad. Because a lot of people are saying, a lot of these dust mites and their supporters are saying, it's not the woman's place to take an inconsistent father out of the child's life. It's not the woman's place. If he wants to pop up, let him pop up when he wants to pop up. Let him come and go as he pleases. It's not your place. Are you outside your rabbit, Mai? Do you not understand how life works? Do you not understand doing what's best for your child? Mokamami says there are some amazing Black women creating content. Absolutely. That's really empowering. And, you know, you don't have to feel like you have to put somebody else on a pedestal. I ain't putting nobody else on a pedestal. My pedestal is full for me. I'm putting nobody on a pedestal, not talking about the same things 24/7. Just, you know, how to empower your life, you know? So there's definitely great content creators out there. They don't get a lot of the play the way the bigger content creators do because y'all like chaos. I've told y'all before, when I started my channel, everybody was saying, why is it always the drama and the chaos? It's so embarrassing. I wish there was Black content creators out there that, you know, had a more educated stance on things and, you know, didn't embarrass us. And you know, especially if that content creator is a fellow dark-skinned Black woman who shows her face. Wasn't a lot of support on that. So thank goodness for, you know, the women that I've met this year, people that have followed me on my channel, you know, showing up and being supportive. Because I really was worried that there was just nobody out there that wanted to listen to some common sense. People are making a minstrel show out of your lives, and then everyone's watching, and now you got to deal with the consequences. Now you got to go to school and go into work with people who are watching all of this chaos and foolishness and prove that you're not a part of that. Real fun. But with y'all laughing and kiki and ha-haing about it all, and your lives are being impacted. Anyways, Black men have never been in the home, can't be Black women because they are not in the home with their preferences either. Oh, well, I think it was a bit of both. That culture started with these government programs that did say men cannot be a part of the home. So generations of men not being there, but that's not an excuse anymore. You know, I've been to the welfare office, okay? Grew up in foster care, aging out of the foster care system, underage. I mean, you know, you turn 18, but you're still in school. Anyways, I've been to the welfare office. I mean, I went as a child as well, right? I grew up watching those systems. It's a lot of men in the welfare office. It's a lot of men in the welfare office. So I didn't observe that. I did not observe that. Never once. Okay. And where I grew up, very poor, everybody in the neighborhood was on welfare. Except for a few, you know, some of the old folks. I never saw some white guy in a Men in Black suit come knocking on the door with his little cha-ching thing, making the Black woman forget, you know, and boom, and then she forgets and they take the Black man out of the house. I've never once observed anyone telling a Black man he cannot be in the house. And I'm telling you, I grew up in foster care. They're not supposed to have anyone in the house that doesn't take the course. Now, there's like a 6 to 9 week course that you have to take to become a foster parent. And every foster home I lived in, almost every foster home, not every, like there was like one exception where the woman was a decent woman. The rest of them were these Gen X, you know, and boomer pygmies, vintage pygmies. Okay. They let their grandsons with records stay in the house. Husband that would disappear when the social worker came over to do her house checks. I never seen them follow the rules. So, you know, and I remember I was in the clubhouse room and there was some vintage pygmy. And she was like, I saw it. I saw it. They did it to my grandma. Bitch, what are you talking about? You wasn't there when your grandma was raising her kids. What are you talking about? Now, so I find it hard to believe. I just do, Melinda. I just find it hard to believe that they follow the rules. They never follow the rules. They disappear. You're not supposed to be in the house. Did y'all know that? Shout out to my fosties. If you're in foster care right now and your foster mom's got some guy in the house that's not supposed to be there, he's not supposed to be there. Sleeping over, sleeping on the couch, sleeping in the basement. I don't care if that's her man. I have so many foster mothers, they let their boyfriend stay over. This is a house full of young girls. At-risk young girls. And your man that just got out of prison is in the house. But Dwight man and the government cheese came and kicked y'all out the house. I don't believe that. I lived in a lot of different hoods. I lived in a lot of different homes. And I never saw that. Now, do I believe that it's possible that it could have happened? Yes. In mass? No. I'll tell you like Kamala Harris told y'all, I'm not going to do something just for Black people. No. No, I don't believe that. Okay. So I can't lie about that. I can't lie about it. I do not believe that. I don't. I believe that here's what I believe, okay? I believe that oppression is real, racism is real. The demoralization after Malcolm and Martin were assassinated, the demoralization of the Black community, I believe that that was real and palpable. I believe that, and it's so funny too, because they never blame the government, right? I mean, you look at the drug crisis today in America, and these people are stealing their grandparents, opioid prescriptions. They're literally cooking in the kitchen, right? Now, I'm in love with the cocoa. I'm in love with the cocoa too. All right, chocolate cocoa. Okay. Not that stuff. Okay. That's another one of their exaggerations. Okay. That is another one of their exaggerations. This stuff wasn't easy to make in a kitchen. Okay. So if you see New Jack City, you would know people generally made crack. Generally made that in places where people weren't living. Wasn't something that was just easy to make and you could just be making it in your kitchen in the hood. I don't care how much you in love with the cocoa. So they rarely ever talk about how their communities were flooded with this stuff, with these drugs. I believe that played a factor, because when the drugs were introduced, a way for them to tune out. I mean, Black people had been in survival mode generation after generation at that point. Generation after generation. And then these drugs flooded our communities. And it was a chance for the people that lived in these communities in the 80s and the 90s, it was a chance for them to take a break. It was a chance for them to take a mental break. They didn't have the commercials that they have today. They'd have so many disclaimers today about hardcore drugs. I was very surprised because, and once again, shout out to Black women and Black people for ending. We ended that. It wasn't a war on drugs that ended that, because I've talked about this on my channel. The war on drugs is a war on Black people to criminalize Black people. That's what it did. It didn't criminalize people that were actually addicts. It just was a reason and excuse to criminalize all of us. And I saw that firsthand growing up in these communities. So shout out to Black people for ending that. But again, I don't know how you could get addicted to drugs when everyone's telling you not to do it. The only people that I can understand that get into that, those hardcore substances, were because adults gave it to them when they were a child. When I hear those people's stories, then I'm like, oh my goodness, like that is horrendous, that's horrible. But for people to be addicted to drugs, hardcore drugs nowadays, so many commercials, I mean, my thing was they criminalized and demeaned Black people so hard. I used to not take aspirin. I wouldn't take aspirin. If I got a headache, I would lie down, just close my eyes and hope that it went away. I wouldn't take aspirin. Until this day, you be a Black woman in the hospital. I remember I got my wisdom teeth taken out. They wanted to give me Tylenol. I got all four taken out at once. They don't want to give you, to this day, they're still criminalizing Black people for a drug epidemic that we stopped, they're still doing it. So, I believe that the crack cocaine drug epidemic, that made them leave the homes because they had to leave because they were on drugs and they chose drugs over their children. I believe, if you look at things today and you look at how men don't want to go to college anymore, right? Because it doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't. It's a pathway, but you could still have a very hard life going to college because now you got to pay your student loans back and, you haven't been elevated, especially if you're not going for the right things, right? So guys have decided they don't want to deal with that level of competitiveness. See, as equality, this is why a lot of people don't want equality to happen, because when equality happens, then everybody's got to earn it. Everybody's got to earn what they get. A lot of people don't want to do that. Okay. But yeah. So if you look at the situation today, these guys aren't going to college because they're like, it's not a guarantee. Right. And I feel like, Black men in particular adopted hood culture as like, this is our culture, when it was only supposed to be a facet of the culture. And I've talked about this multiple times. It was only supposed to be a facet of the culture. It's not supposed to be your personality. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. That's why I don't sit up here and bop it, twerk it, twist it, making all these noises and, time to time. Okay. But the bottom line is, I don't have to try to pretend like I have some urban personality. I grew up in the hood. Fuck. As authentic as it gets. Who the ones that be pretending? A lot of suburban chicks. You see that with like these beautiful young Black women that, these rappers date, right? The Aries, the Jadas. These girls grew up in the suburbs, and they grew up with loving families. There's no reason to be talking about, and when my man, I like when he choked me, and when he be doing what he like. I never bought into it. Okay, that's why I'm me. I never bought into it. But these guys made that their personality. They were like, yeah, that's me. That's who I am. Yeah, what the rap song says. And you can't convince these guys for the life of them that like Pac was doing a lot of stuff. He was chilling with Madonna, but he wasn't doing all that stuff that he was talking about in the songs. What'd you say? They get so angry, Biggie will sit there being like, I didn't have enough to eat. We know that's a lie. Lie detector determined that's a lie. So I think that they let how hard life is get to them. I think that they were looking for, they allowed escapism to be their outlet instead of education. You know what I'm saying? All of that leads to dysfunction. All of that leads to, if you're doing drugs and you're about that street life, you don't care about your women and children. All you care about is you. All you care about is you. So that would make sense, right? That that derelict, dysfunctional chaos led to these men feeling comfortable. Because what man feels comfortable leaving his wife and children or his baby mama and children? What man is like okay with that? It'd have to be a man that doesn't have his priorities straight. And, that's me being nice about it. That's me being nice about it. But yeah, that's what I feel. Yes and no, it's stepdaddy clause and trying to prevent addicts from laying up on government assistance. I find it interesting that feminism has destroyed the Black nuclear family, but Frederick Douglass was married to one. Right. Exactly. And I'm like, any white woman that dates a Black man is going against tradition. Okay? So any woman that's not Black that marries a Black man is going against the tradition of we don't have Black people in this family. They're going against that. There's nothing traditional about it, And in the 1930s and 40s, Black families were doing better than poor white people, higher marriage rates, more jobs. But that is a history that is swept under the rug. Absolutely, Melinda. And, I think it was because we had the mentality of, we got to work hard. We got to stick together. We had a productive mentality about how to maneuver as a minority group in this country. And again, when you're reprogramming yourself and you look at our media today, so many people will be like, oh, I see what the media says about you. Or I see what TV says about you, Black people in America, Black Americans, right? And I'm like, if that's what you're going off, then you're dumb as a box of rocks. TV is going to show one thing. Everything is about indoctrination and a hidden agenda. And I think that, that's why Bill Cosby made the Cosby Show, essentially, is it not? And I hate to give him a good shout out, but is that not why he made the Cosby Show? Because he wanted to show a different side of Black people. And that was a side that I hadn't seen, that I wasn't used to. I was used to the chaos and dysfunction. Like when I'm watching stuff on YouTube, in the streets of YouTube, as they say, it reminds me a lot of when I was growing up and the constant dysfunction. That's why I don't watch a lot of that stuff, because it's, as entertaining as it could get, it's not productive. It's not productive. Hip hop is a culture within a culture. It's not the culture. It's not the only culture. You can listen to Kanye West's voice in this video. This is a guy that spends a lot of time around non-Black people. So don't let the hip hop fool you, and we need to come out of that. We just do. Like, you don't have to make your whole life about hood culture or street culture and hip hop to feel Black. You're going to be Black. It's not going to go anywhere. Like, you're going to be melanated. I personally, prefer melanated. Okay. But what I'm saying? You're going to be melanated. And I've used that a lot on this channel, because if you look at Black, even though we had to reclaim that, It's funny how words work. We had to reclaim Black. Black was used very negatively, until James Brown came out. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud, right? So instead of reclaiming things that have been used against us, I feel we should create our own and move forward and stop having anybody that, if you had negative intentions towards me, we don't need to go any further. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do y'all pick and choose what's acceptable, what's not, to take away from, you know, the people who oppress you, if you will? You know what I choose? Whatever makes money. That's what I choose from them. And everything else, I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. But yeah, absolutely. Again, we got to stop allowing other people to tell our stories. One thing that I didn't like about the hood movies when I was growing up, because I was in the hood, that's why I would watch Dawson's Creek. I was like, I don't want to wait. Okay. I don't want to wait for this life. Like, I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to watch movies and TV shows showing what I was living in. It didn't appeal to me, And you have to understand, Hollywood can never tell your story. They can't. They're not invested enough in doing it. They're always going to tell this kind of twisted, funhouse mirror projection of what they think it is and what they think you've gone through, et cetera, et cetera. We got to tell our own stories. And stop buying into, well, this is the hot TV show, everybody's watching it. So if it's not productive, then watch something else. I watched a lot of documentaries. That's why I know a lot about, world history and things like that. Because, I'll be honest, I didn't know a lot about geography and world history from going to school because I didn't care, And to have conversations, with my husband, and he's talking about this empire and that empire, and I have no idea what he's talking about. I was like, oh, hell no, I got to change that, right? So I wanted to learn more about world history. So I watched documentaries. You got to empower yourself. We got to stop letting people tell us who we are. If you care so much about these kids, why was he in Wyoming during the school year? North and Saint are in elementary school. Exactly. And the other ones are babies. And that's exactly it. I bought the house next door. You could have stayed in the house. You wouldn't have had to buy the house next door. But see, you're extra. You're an egomaniac. Everything's about attention and validating his ego. Yeah, I thought they have like a whole compound in Wyoming. Why didn't they all move there? Kim could have taken care of the kids. He has to tour. That's his job, but that could be their home base. You know what? I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I think that if she really cared about maintaining that marriage, then just move to where he wants to be. But again, she was saying he wants to be in Wyoming one year. He wants to be in Nevada the next year. I want to keep the kids, all of their friends and all of their family are here in LA. Right? So I think that's, the gist of it, is that she didn't want to be moving every year to where he wanted to be and not have her family there. They got all their siblings, and all the siblings have children, and that's where she wants to be. And it doesn't look like they were willing to compromise that. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. And not really. It's like, it's kind of interesting. I don't really care, but I use this as a segue to get y'all over here, to get y'all talking. Again, If you are watching Lurking in the Bushes, please thumbs up the video and subscribe. If you're watching Lurking in the Bushes and you disagree with what I'm saying, I just dropped the link. Be respectful and we can have a conversation. This is so messed up, but I had it in my own family. These people, men and women, want these kids, but don't know how to have a family. That is what destroyed so many people. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then it's all like, oh, for the kids, for the kids. And it's like, you guys are all doing whatever you want. That's best for you. I think it's so funny that he's like trying to get her back. And she's like with Pete Davidson now. And, you know, Dwight Man doesn't have to project, right? Because they already have it. Everything's in place. So a lot of that toxic masculinity, right? And I'm not saying that all men don't have it across the board, but it's a lot to deal with when your men don't feel like they have the power that other men have. Okay. Well, Pete Davidson doesn't feel that way. I bet you she feels like she's in heaven with Pete Davidson. I bet you she feels like she's in heaven. Like, oh my God, this is so sweet and nice. I bet you she feel like she in a WB. WWWB. WWW. I bet you she feels like she's in a WB teenage, okay, popular teenage show. Because, you know, it must just be so nice. You know, to be with someone that's funny and sweet, and they're not an egomaniac, and you don't have to constantly stroke their ego. You know, she was talking about the Band-Aid situation where he was like, I've traveled all over the world for you, and you can't even get me a Band-Aid. And he wanted her to get him a flesh-colored Band-Aid, you know, and she's like, no, I draw the line, right? She's like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough. That's the kind of stuff that Black women have put up with. And then you want to sing, what a man, what a man, what a man. And then all the other women are like, oh, wow, what's going on over there? And then they gave it a try. And they found out they get the same guy, don't they? They get the same guy, you know, and they're not all what a man. He says, mom kept me from my dad, but dad didn't want me. I want to say, make it make sense, but never will make sense. Exactly. He's just saying whatever he can to get attention. Right now, I think it's very important to understand. Right now, he's trying to weaponize Black people, right, to give her a hard time, to draw attention, right, to feel sorry for him because he's Black and he has Black children. First time he ever called those kids Black. He intentionally made sure his children were not going to be Black by constantly, deliberately dating women that were not Black. Now he says, oh, my children are Black. And you know what? Let's take a look at something else that he said. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not the savviest here. Okay. Okay, so if you guys can see this, because I want to show, I like to bring receipts. So nobody's saying I'm making up nothing. Okay, I'm not making up nothing. Okay, so he goes on to say, I take medication. My dad didn't have money or a public voice when my mom destroyed me and his relationship. I do this for every parent on either side whose kids' futures are being one-sidedly controlled. I don't even have the right to get angry as a father without being called erratic. I gave that family the culture. If they as a whole unit keep playing games with me, I will take that culture back. A father should never have to beg for the location of their children. Now his mother's to blame. That's some type of loyalty. That's some type of loyalty. Like that's weird, man. That really is very bizarre. Let me see if I can. They talk about it here. Here it is. And you can see that in quotation, okay, it's in quotations. He said it. These ideas can actually get someone locked up, he continued. They play like that with black men's lives, whether it's getting them free or getting them locked up. I'm not playing about my black children anymore. You see that? What are you talking about, dude? Now you're a victim? Now you're a victim? When plus my make yo look like precious. And when he get on, he leave you for a white girl. Like I said, who was in college when that song came out? I was. Every time that song came on, all right, because I was at PWIs. PWIs. Every time that song came on, it was like I could feel white people getting closer to me as the song went on, right? And then at the end, and when he get on, he leave you ask for a white girl. Everyone would turn and look at me. Well, let me tell you something. That's something my husband will never do. So I don't know what you're talking about. But now he's a victim of it. It's interesting. That's interesting. So, is the father being inconsistent dangerous to the child in the long run? How much consistency are we talking about here? Generally, these pop-up dads are in between inconsistent. I mean, you can be inconsistent in your child's life and still live in the home. So we're talking about men that don't live in the home, the children don't have any access to, and they want to be inconsistent and play games, and it's not up to the mother to make that choice. Let your dad just pop up whenever he wants. If he doesn't, then the mother's to blame for there being no relationship there. What kind of relationship can you have with someone that's inconsistent? Fuck that. I've been ready since my dad told me he was coming to the house to get me. He ain't show up. Okay? He ain't show up. Valuable lesson, man. I had to grow up. These men would tell the kids, oh, I'm going to come visit you. Kids sitting at the window, looking out the window, waiting for dad. That's better for your child than telling this man, look, you don't want to be consistent in your own child's life? Call me and let me know when you are. Call me and let me know when you're available to be consistent. Until then, we don't have nothing else to say. I'm not here to play games. And these Dusties are saying If the father is inconsistent and unreliable, it's up for the child. So a 5-year-old gets to determine what's best for them. Is that what you're telling me? No, the parent, the primary provider, which is something else that Kim said as well. Kim said, I'm the primary provider. He's not even 50-50 providing for his 4 children. Just letting her do it all because she can. Right? I mean, they live in her house. She rearranges her schedule to take care of them. Of course, they have nannies. You really think, I mean, this man could have been spending time with his children, but instead he's bopping around with Black Swan. What's Black Swan's name? I forget. Julia. He wants to bop around with Black Swan. All that time you hanging out with this girl, you could be spending that with your kids. And, you know, insiders are saying that he's not a consistent dad. But like I've said before, Kim has said he is consistent. So she was covering for him. Because you can tell he wasn't consistent. He wasn't even consistently being there for her during the pregnancies. They had rumors since the pregnancies about them breaking up because he was never around. So again, they don't want to put in 50-50 effort in the relationship, but they want to break up and say, I deserve to see my kids 50-50 whenever I want. Well, it doesn't work that way. You'll see them when schedule allows. Period. And she doesn't have to put up with his games and his BS anymore, and she's not going to. I just think it's hilarious. Again, I've said before, he didn't see that coming. Because I saw it coming. As soon as he said, if my wife divorces me, she's gonna divorce you. And she did. Because she got what she wanted out of him. Finesse. Finesse. It's called the preference finesse. Okay, what's up? Call me Coco. Good to see you. Wonderful live today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for being here. Exactly. They couldn't come from the hospital with those babies. That is the truth. Mm-hmm. Who's going to give you these kids? What you going to do with them? A court's not going to give you kids so you can give them to a babysitter 24/7. You know how much abuse kids go through when they're dropped off with family members and random babysitters? You should do everything you can to make sure that your kids are okay. My deadbeat dad was in the damn house. Oh, God. Okay. The call is coming from inside the house. Okay? Sometimes these deadbeats be in the house. Oh, my God. They don't want to raise kids. They don't want to be a husband, be a father. They don't want to be a part of the process. They just want glory and not to have to pay child support. Jesus. Is that what they call him, Papa? I'm not sure who you're talking about. Okay. Thank you, Pinky. They couldn't be in the home after the government started providing for the women because the men were already gone. Exactly. They was already on the streets. These aren't the stories of men that are married and generally. Most of them ain't married. They're not in the home. They don't want to be. They never intended to be. I blame both parties. But when men want to complain about paying child support, you know what I have to say to them? You should have chose better. You should have chose better. But you didn't. So now pay the price. Right? And again, if we're looking at who pays the price of these men not being in the home and not being fathers, not being providers. It's the women and children that have to pay that price. It's not the men. So who would do something to knowingly cause harm to themselves? Who would do that? It doesn't make sense because it's not true. It's not true. And a lot of these guys that talk about this stuff on here, they came from the suburbs. They don't know nothing about that life. I'm telling y'all right now, I seen it firsthand. Nobody kicked them out of nothing. Nobody kicked them out of nothing. Please thumbs up the video and subscribe if you're here. Like I said, in foster care, they're not supposed to have anybody in the house that didn't take the course is not supposed to live in the house with the foster children. They had every dude in the block living in those homes. I remember one time I lived in a foster home that was nearby to the school that I went to in high school. This was like 10th grade. And the foster mother's grandson was living there, just got out of jail. And, I had to go back to school for some extracurricular activity. I was very involved in school. And I asked her foster son to drop me off. Okay, because it was the winter. And I'm in the car with her two grandsons who aren't supposed to be there. And I say very little. As I do, I was really just trying to survive. Okay. Anyways, these guys are going on, they're like 18, 19, 20. I was like 15. And they're like, oh, you got a real sexy voice. I was like, what the? I know you're not supposed to be saying that to me. Weird. Gross. So they didn't leave. Nobody kicked them out. Social worker come over all the time. They don't check the basement. They don't say whose sneakers are those. Y'all know how shit work. But everybody got an opinion. They don't do that. All they do is say, is so-and-so living with you? Yes or no? That's it. So what a rigorous system, huh? Yeah, the yes or no. Kick them out of the house, right? It's BS. I'll never believe it. I'll never believe it. A lot of the kids that I was in the foster care system with, their mother had passed. Why their daddies didn't take them? Fuck out of here. Y'all ain't gonna keep bringing that bullshit ass lie. That's why I don't talk about this stuff, because guess what? The truth is the truth, baby. I don't have to discuss it. You can make up statistics, you can make up lies all you want. You don't have the education to be popping statistics. Let's start there. Right? Since, that college, who downs college? It's an educational opportunity. Who downs an educational opportunity? Again, is college going to work for you if you go to undergrad and you major in advertising and you don't have any connections? You don't go to grad school. You don't get your MBA. No, you're not going to do anything with that advertising degree. You're not. Except for maybe come on YouTube and scam. Okay? But whose problem is that? You got to use your head. You got to go to college and work. Okay? The day my husband graduated from college, we met in undergrad, but he's 2-3 years older than me. There was a party at his place, okay? And I never thought that I would see him again. To be honest, I never thought I would see him again. Right. And so, he was this like nerdy guy, and I like went into his apartment, his bedroom, and I was like looking around. I was like, "What's this? What's this?" He was like, I was like, "This uncomfortable." Anyways, he was getting ready for his graduation. He had every bell and whistle. He had so many trinkets on his gown. I was like, "Oh shoot, that's the kind of drip that I'm interested in." Drip, drip, drip. That's the kind of drip I'm interested in. Okay. I was like, okay. Why? I thought, oh, for sure, I'm gonna get one of those because I graduated cum laude. Okay. Double major cum laude, 4 years. Where's my bells and whistles? When I graduated, I didn't get a bell, a whistle, nothing. So do you know what this man had to do to get all those bells and whistles and woo-ha's and stuff? He went to college to learn. You learn, you network. You don't sit in the student union all day blasting hip hop. Well, do you get it? So yeah, if you don't know how to make the most of your college experience, you're not going to get much out of that experience. You have to go prepared to work. That being said, if you're looking for an opportunity to get ahead in life and you're ready to work, college is a great place to do that. All right now. Black men couldn't be in the home after the government started to provide for women, meaning we start taking care of her because you were gone, so now you can't be here. Nuance. Again, they're not looking to take care of your kids and your responsibilities. I don't know why you would sit up there, the government, why are you talking about the government? They're not supposed to be in your life. Y'all all got mad when they told y'all what to do and the mandates and, oh, why is the government in our life? But you sit up there, where's my stimulus check? Well, which is it? You want them in your life or not? They're not supposed to be in your life. They're supposed to be governing and be this thing that you interact with, when you go out to vote every so often. They're not supposed to be in your home, knocking on your door, telling you how to live. It's unnatural. So, even if they were like, hey, your man can't stay here, which again, I grew up observing that rule being broken frequently. Even if they're telling you that, so what? They shouldn't have to pay for him to lay up and not have a job. I don't get it. They don't do that in no other country where they let men lay up and they'll pay for that man to have a roof over his head. No, they won't. No, they don't. All right, vintage pick-me's, right? These Gen X boomer pick-me's, all right? I feel like you can always tell a vintage pick-me because let me stop. I was going to say her heels is always dry. She always got them cracked heels. Baby! Little baby, get some lotion. Okay? Vintage pick-me's. Thank you, Pinky. I appreciate that. Yes, very, very difficult. Growing up without a mom, a lot of people do. But I didn't even consider that my father should have been in the picture. That's how absent these men were from the community. Nobody had a daddy. Only like 1 or 2 people had a daddy. And it wasn't until I got older and started to understand more, like that's not a normal state and it's not a normal way for things to be. That I started saying, you know what? I do feel like my deadbeat bio dad needs to be held accountable for what he did. And that's why I called his ass up and I cussed his ass the fuck out. And I'll do it again. Before you'll ever get a penny from me. You'll never get a penny from me. All you're going to get is cussed out from me, baby. What y'all thought? What did y'all think? Everybody, I've told you guys before, because I went to private school on scholarship and had to live up to rigorous demands, my bio family was like, they're in school with these white people. The laziness. Now they mad that you dating interracially, but you dumped your kids off on these white people. Now you got a problem because people dating interracially? Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. Pick a side, pick a side. We have a problem. Fuck out of here. And I don't care what happens to him ever. That's what I said. Don't ever come to me be like, I saw your daddy on the street. I don't care. He didn't care about me as a kid, yo. You don't get taken care of. Be old and have it be painful. All right? It's tough. But yeah, nobody kicked him out of nothing. Nobody stopped him from nothing. I remember one of my foster homes. Wow, this memory just popped back up in my head here. My foster mother was like, your dad's going to come visit you. He had bumped into somebody and somebody saw him out so-and-so. And it's like, oh, your dad going to come over. He would tell the foster mom will come over. We would sit, wait for him to come over. Most of the time he didn't. Most of the time it was empty-handed. Did you ever in your life show up around me empty-handed? Okay, but nobody trying to see you like that. But yeah, you know, it was, I never observed any of them ever being kicked out of a home, ever. So somebody else grew up in the hood and they can tell me about those hood facts. Like I said, I already dropped the link. Because y'all swear. They lurk in the bushes, but they're not going to have a conversation about it. They're not going to have that conversation because it's full of lies. Just accept it. You know, the narrative about Black women, about Black girls in the 90s was teen moms, they're on drugs, they're sexually promiscuous. I didn't kiss a guy until I was 22 years old. I had to live my life doing the exact opposite, working my ass off. Knowing what people have to say about Black women. And instead of them fighting back against the narrative, they just want to fight within. Weak sauce. Tricks are for kids. Exactly. There's no war on opioids. There was no war on drugs that made Black people stop doing it. We stopped it. We made different choices. We made better choices. Like I said, I didn't even swallow Advil. I would have a horrible headache and I would just sit there and take it. Be like, if I take any drugs, no, I won't do it. The pressure I had to put on myself because the generation before me couldn't be bothered. They wanted to escape. I get it, but not when you have kids, bruh. When you have kids, it's all that, what you want is over. And you prioritize the kids and the kids come first. That's why I was late coming to this video, because I had to prioritize walking my dog. She ain't asked to be here. Thumbs up the video and subscribe if you're in the room, please. Yep, had a white female ER doctor treat me like I was an addict when I had my knee surgery, and my doc forgot to extend refills for me. I recorded the whole thing without telling her and reported her. Exactly. You got to really do that kind of stuff. You got to really do that kind of stuff. I mean, they really made life. If your comment doesn't show, give me a moment and I will try to approve it. I'm doing a lot here. Okay, so hopefully I'll see those comments from Beach Wave. And we put in all of that work. You will rarely ever see, I mean, let's just be honest, especially when it comes to this opioid epidemic, you'll see the teenage, the mama, and the grandmama, everybody will be on opioids. That shit hit Black community one generation and we was out. One generation and we was like, nah, never again, never again. We went to college on it. You know how hard it was for me to get my ass from foster care to college? And still we're criminalized to this day. I remember I had a bad tooth problem going on. I had to get a root canal and it was all messed up. This was when I was in college and nothing was helping. And I had a YT acquaintance of mine was like, yo, I mean, she was like, Walter White. She was like, what you need? What you want? Baby, I got it. What you need? Okay. Just blue and yellow, purple pills. But you be a Black woman. And they're like, oh, are you an addict? I'm like, look, okay. I have beautiful teeth. I'm not trying to ruin that. Okay. Nobody's trying to be addicts. All right. Only people that do that are people who don't understand the consequences or don't care. But it is crazy what we have to deal with. And we dealt with it. Even though to this day, you'll still see on social media who makes the most crack jokes, Black people. I mean, you can blame people like Dave Chappelle. I sort of do. Love Dave, but, you know, don't do stuff at the expense of the community, bruh. Everyone has this understanding when you're talking about opioids, when you're talking about alcoholism, when you talk about all those other hardcore, right? It's, oh, let's have respect on this topic. People are suffering. It's a disease. And what do you see everybody else doing? Crack babies, crack rock, crackhead. I'm like, all they did was criminalize y'all for that. Y'all don't put two and two together. You're just furthering a joke. The joke's on you. How do you further a joke when the joke's on you? Only a fool would do that. Is it crack? I like to say, is it meth? Okay? Because that's the problem today. Y'all sound like, could you imagine people were still talking about opium? They'd be like, oh yeah, sitting in the opium fields with the opium poppy heads. It's like, ain't nobody doing opium no more. What you talking about? Why are you so attached to that? Like, move along, okay? But whatever. You can't stop Black people from making jokes about things that they shouldn't be progressing from, right? I grew up in the hood. There's no need for me to act like anything else. Exactly. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'll never forget. I was getting my nails done in Chinatown in New York. And, you know, I was doing what I'm doing with y'all right now. I love to talk. I love to laugh. I love to, you know, converse with people. I'm cutting jokes. I'm laughing. I'm having a good time with the ladies doing my nails in a shop in Chinatown. The building had a bunch of different units in it, different stores. This light-skinned girl gonna come over, okay? She comes over, approaches me. That's strike one. That's strike one, because I don't like a lot of people in my space. She comes over and approaches me and says, excuse me. I knew right there she was on some bullshit. I was like, what do you want? She's like, excuse me, but I was over next door getting a massage and all I could hear was you in here laughing and talking. I was like, whose problem is that? Then go. I mean, when I get massages, I don't hear people because I go to the right spot. So, step your bricks up. Step your bricks up. Go find somewhere where you're not right next to another shop, sis. Fuck out of my face. What are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, but you're not supposed to be. I'm like, what, you don't tell me what to do? I was like, what? I said, what you thought she was going to do? Come over here and say that I'm going to apologize? I was like, I don't care. She's like, well, you should care. Because I was like, but I don't. And what you going to do about it? Anyways, he was yah. Two bulls in a china shop. Okay, literally. And, I was like, it's popping. It's popping. Now, at this time I think I was engaged or right before I got engaged, right? So I'm like, all right, you're an adult. Let's move along in life, right? Let's not be fighting. I saw a video on TikTok of a girl, half her hair was gone. And she's like, but I won. I'm like, sis, we don't need to be doing all that. Anyways, it was about to be popping in that shop. But the one thing that stopped me was my acknowledgement of this isn't my space to destroy. It was a very tiny shop, nail bottles everywhere. And you get hot, you get heated. Anybody from the hood know when the fight's on, okay? And furniture is a moving. I felt the heat. Okay. I felt the heat coming up. I was like, damn, the heat coming up. I can't believe this. I just want to get my nails done. I never went back there again because of this either. Because I was like, Jesus, you never know who's next door. But I felt the heat coming up. And I was like, I had like a moment, just like and it was like, you can't destroy these people's shop on some fight music-ish. Like, you cannot do that. It's not cool. And God knows, how they would be impacted if they would be hurt. And then inevitably the cops would be called and you would be arrested for destroying the shop. Right? So I was like, if she don't swing, it don't mean a thing. Okay? If it ain't got that swing. So she didn't swing. So I was like, you know what? I was like, go have a nice ride on the subway, boo. Have a nice ride. It's 2 hours, right? 2 hours to get to where you going. Have a nice ride, boo. I'm getting picked up. I let it go because she wasn't ready for it. But the point is, like, everywhere you go, you're Black. They don't let you forget it. They don't let you forget it. Why do you have to be huffing and puffing and blah, 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 blah? I know where I grew up from because I know how I react to things. And work hard on it too, and still working on it. I still have encounters where I'm like, I'm going to have to use my words. Okay? Because I'm looking for a different life here. But yeah, that was crazy. I was like, if you don't take your broke ass on, ho, it's not my fault that you didn't have a serene experience in a tiny shop in Chinatown, boo. You would have heard something. You would have heard honks and all types of ish. If you hadn't heard me talking, making everybody laugh, like, fuck out of here. It's not my job to make sure you have a good massage experience. I didn't even know you was there. But see, she was ready to fight. Because again, and that's the other thing that I thought of. I was like, this woman has nothing to lose. She wants to fight because she's so mad that she paid what? $60 for an hour? Then move out the city if you don't want to hear noise. What do I got to do with me? And I was like, and I've told y'all about this, about being around these dusties, and they don't value life. They have nothing to lose. That chick didn't have nothing to lose. Nothing to lose. It would have been nothing for her to get arrested because she was mad, because she was jealous. But again, a lot of people approach me on some, oh, you think that I won't go to there. We can go to there. But see, I have a different life now. I got stuff to lose. So I tend to move different. You know what I'm saying? I was used to the same uncertainty. It's like growing up in a war zone. Exactly. So, I mean, what do you mean it's up that let the kid decide if they want to tolerate an inconsistent parent? A child can't make decisions like that. So the answer is no. A court's not going to do that, and a smart parent is not going to do that. If you're going to be inconsistent, count yourself absent. It's just that simple. Nobody has to put up with your inconsistency. Hi, Goldie Jones. Good to see you. Oh, all the girls are here. Goldie Jones, that's another Black woman empowerment channel. Okay, so yeah, you know, I was naming Black women empowerment channels the other day and just saying that we're still here. We're still here, here. We're still here. Okay, and you know, you got Samantha Cooker, who's been here for a very long time. I always like her content. Mocha Mommy, Call Me Coco, My World, the Goldie Jones channel, just really nice, lovely women that I've interacted with and had a lovely time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's other women that act like I stole their man or something. You know, they're very shady. They act shady. Other people in the space in general that they kind of act fun, like funny dudes. I'm not here for the funny dude-ish. I'm not here for the funny dude-ish. I'm not. You know, people be on some, you try to steal my super chats, and I'm talking about my life as a Black woman. And it's not on some classist-ish, and it's not on some better-ish. It's literally on some, I manifested greatness in my life when I was born with less than the average person. And I know that if I can do it, you can do it. You know, acting jealous and ish. I don't need to come on YouTube and beg or ask for nothing. Okay? So being jealous of me is a waste of time. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. So again, you know, because I've told you guys that I've interacted with other women, you know, and shout out to Chrissy, of course. Chrissy's always Black women empowerment. And again, you know, she's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And still was like, hey, you guys, DanieSteel has a channel. When she, you know, her last panel that she did, gave me the shout out. She didn't have to. I don't expect a shout out, but if I interact with you, I don't expect funny dude-ish. I really don't, because I don't need it. You come on here and beg your life away. I'm not begging for nothing. Never have, never will. All right. Anybody want to disagree? Come to the stage. Yes. And, you know, I taught my husband about situational awareness. And it's something I believe very strongly in. Okay. My husband didn't have that skill. I don't care. It is what it is. He didn't have the skill. It's a skill. And he didn't have it because he never needed it. Right. And then we're living in New York, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's this? What's that? Like, what's this experience? That was kind of weird. I'm like, yeah, you were almost robbed. Okay. Let me teach you a little something about situational awareness and who to look out for and who don't. And, you know, it doesn't have anything to do with stereotypes. It has to do with a feeling. It has to do with your intuition. Follow it. Practice situational awareness in everything you do. I mean, there's a lot of times when I'm in New York and I you know, some guy will be hitting on me. And I'm like, you know, I'll ignore generally, but there'll be moments where I'm like, if you ignore this guy, things could get worse for you. So interact with him in such a way that he understands to leave you alone. And that's when I do my, okay? That's when I, okay? What's up, bro? They'd be like, oh, all right. Okay. I'll be walking down the street, going to an audition, and here they gonna jump out. Oh, you look good. I'm like, all right. Oh, do I? And they're like, oh, okay. All right. Stay safe, sis. I'm like, okay. I'll do what it takes, okay, to get home safe. It's not a joke out here. I've had a big family unit and an unstable husband. I may not have left either. Oh, if I had a big family unit and an unstable husband, I may not have left either. I was like, what? This isn't your story. Call me Coco. Exactly. Very difficult when the kids are involved and you want a family. That's very difficult. That's a very difficult decision for a woman to make. And Kim Kardashian is privileged with, the connections and opportunities to be able to leave a situation like that with all those kids that she has, because she has a big supportive family, which is, again, why he chose her. Now he don't like it. She has a big supportive family. She has a bunch of people protecting her. Look, he calling everybody, what's Kim's number? You don't even know your not even ex-wife yet, and you don't know her number. I mean, Kim cut him off. I think it's very interesting. Is that soft and feminine? The way she cut your ass off? Well, you should be able to sue for defamation of character for Black women. I'm telling you. I mean, the way that I've had to live my life so that people weren't attributing negative stereotypes to me, so that I wasn't losing opportunities because of how people see Black women, based on media portrayals, based on how their men are portraying them. My husband was showing me a music video from the 80s. And what's the artist? Which one? The music video you were showing me.
Which one?
The music video.
I don't remember.
With the preference.
Oh, the one we just watched.
Yes.
Tone Loc, Funky Cold Medina.
Tone Loc, Funky Cold Medina. Okay. And this is the 80s. And what did he have in the music video? A preference. And he has this verse where he's like, I guess he's being, there was no culture of like understanding, really understanding, gender on a spectrum and things like that. But I guess he was being, you could say transphobic, right, with this verse. But it was in that shenane kind of way where you could say he was being transphobic. Like, was he being transphobic, or was it misogynoir because he's trying to portray that he's a Black woman? He's not trying to portray, Martin Lawrence wasn't trying to portray a trans person. He was trying to portray that he was a woman. Well, in this video, like, the verse is like, and I went and saw a girl, and guess what she looked like? She wasn't like, she was kind of slapped because her face was Black. Like, it was like that, okay? And then, like, he's like, oh, if she was a man, and it was a dark-skinned Black man, dressed like a woman. So he had that in the video, and then he had this light-skinned woman that looked like she could be probably biracial as the lead, and this was the 80s. They've been doing this for a very long time. Nobody has sold you down the river more than these dusties have. Because they were supposed to protect, they were supposed to provide. Not only did they not do that, they threw you to the wolves. Everyone thinks that they can disrespect you because they set the example. And then when people interact with me, it's, oh, she's mean. No, I'm not mean. I have the same boundaries that anybody with a brain would have. And you're not going to disrespect me and disrespect, the people I'm from. I don't care what these dudes allow. Passing out their N-word passes, giving out cookout passes to everybody with a drop. One dropping everybody in sight. They want to talk about oh, wow, yeah. Everybody's saying the N-word now. Wonder why. Wonder why. These dudes will be online and be like, I have a pass. Then some Dusty will pop up and be like, yeah, I gave him a pass because I grew up with him. I don't give a fuck. Stupid. Hey, stupid. Okay, so these are the games that they play and pull. Black women should be able to sue these black men for defamation of character with all these things they are saying. Yep. They don't allow it anyone else. And the only reason that they allow it is because you're black women. And they know the men ain't gonna fight for nothing, and certainly not a black woman. I've never seen the collective of black men fight for a black woman. Never. They don't even do it for the Pygmeshiaverse. They don't do it for them. They'll be on their channel. If the Pygmesha wears weave, they'll be like, you wear weave. They don't give them a break. They don't cut them slack because they're being a pygmy for them. They mamas raised them, the mama that stayed. They don't cut them no slack. I've never seen one black woman. It doesn't matter if she's married interracially, she's married to a black man. I've never seen them going hard for a black woman and unambiguous black woman, a dark-skinned black woman, a woman that reflects their own image. They don't go hard for them. That's why I don't understand, and then they'll come over here with an attitude. It's like, bruh, there's not one channel where a cisgender straight black man is fighting for supporting black women. Nothing. So, but I'm supposed to fight for you. I don't do anything without reciprocity. I mean that. Always. My father did that, the no show, no call BS one time, and I told him, don't call me anymore. I was saying, exactly. No call, no show, you're fired. You're fired. What case did the man not have to pay child support? I don't know if you're talking about the guy I was talking about earlier that the lead attorney was talking about, but he basically was like, he got 50-50 custody. So he didn't have to pay child support because he's splitting the kids, the kids are with him 50% of the time and they're with the mom 50% of the time. But it's like, but if the mom doesn't have money because you lay down with her and you made the babies with her, he was like, oh, well, I've known this woman for 10 years. She never had a job. So why you had 3 babies with her? Should have chose better. You didn't. So now you got to pay child support because the government's not going to pick up that slack for you. The government's not going to pick it up. I shouldn't have to as a family member, the family members of these women. So you can never go nowhere in your life. You can never get a bigger house. Your net worth is always low and struggling because you got to help take care of these men's kids. No, I'll be damned. I'm not going to do it. The government's not going to do it. That's why even if you have 50-50 custody, you still got to pay child support because the kids got to be taken care of. It's not the government's fault that you chose to make a 3 babies with a woman who hadn't had a job in 10 years. Who does that? Maybe she didn't have a job in a lot of those, and a lot of that time because she was knocked up with your babies. They expect you to work when you're pregnant. They expect you to work after the baby's born. They expect sex right after the baby's born. They don't want to wait. Nasty. Nasty. When you're with a man, you got to make sure that a pattern of reliability is established. That's part of the vetting process. That's part of the purple print. A pattern of reliability is established. Reliability in him coming through for you in the relationship. And most importantly, reliability of him maintaining work, maintaining a job and or career. Again, I was in one of these Bugetto ghetto clubhouse rooms long ago. I don't go anymore. I want to go and start making my own spaces in there to combat some of the stupid ass conversations that they have, but I will not waste my time with these males with mics. Because I got a real man. So I was in one of these spaces and the guy was like, how do you know that your husband wouldn't be a deadbeat dad to your children? I was like, we've been together for 12 years. He's paid every bill since we've been together. He's like, but you don't know. You don't know. And I'm like, no, you don't know. Because you have no concept of what it's like to be a man and to take care and provide for your woman and your children. You have no concept of that. Someone's been doing something consistently for 12 years. Do the math, bruh. So I thought, like, him arguing that, I was like, you're so stupid. Why are you so stupid? And why are you talking to me? Like, it was crazy. He wasn't going to keep breaking my damn heart playing around with empty promises. So no, I'd never met him face to face. This is after my mother tracked him down and was finally awarded child support. Wow. Terrible. And my mother never even got child support from my deadbeat father. Just asked him to come around and give when he could. Get the hell out of here. Boy, you're going to give me your life. How about that? Your very life. I want your soul. Okay? If I got your kids, I want your soul. Your soul is mine. You understand that? I ain't asking for $1. Okay. Jesus. I think when it comes to this idea that these guys can be inconsistent, not only in the child's life, but in the mother's life, that she has to continue to expose herself to this man, often asking for sex in exchange for providing for his children, demanding sex, wasting her time. They don't mind the idea of that because they don't see women as fully human beings, right? To them, women are objects. That's why I don't mess with dust. I can't. Allergic. Never have, never will. I don't have any stories about, the dustiest date I've been on he, was in my early 20s. Old boy going, tell me to pay half. I couldn't believe it. Okay. That was the dustiest date I've been on. And then, he revealed to me that he had a child. And I was like, no, I don't do that. Goodbye. Never talk to him again. That was the last chance for the brothers. Okay. That's who they sent in. That's who they sent in. It's no contest. Okay. But the fact that they don't mind, that the mothers have to deal with this toxic man who's bumping in and out. They don't mind that. As long as they can have some idea that their dad wanted them and their dad wanted to be in their life. Raising children is no joke. If a man wants to be a father, then he'll go all in. You don't have to beg. They don't want to be. And these guys don't want to deal with the fact, Yeezy included, that your dad just didn't want to be there. That's why you didn't have a relationship with your dad, because he didn't want to be there. Like, you ever listen to an Eminem song? What you're not going to do is tell me that these guys have no choice and no opportunities. And Marshall Mathers has music out. I mean, he takes care of kids that aren't even his. But he has said in his music, right? And you can see that in how he raised his daughter and is a father, right? When Kim was dealing with drug issues, Kim Mathers, Eminem stepped up. And he said, and that he would go to the ends of the earth for his children. Nothing could or would ever stop him from being a father and being in his children's lives. Nothing. And a point that a lot of these guys make too, it's like, so you want somebody to feel sorry for you? Because I don't. A lot of these guys will say, well, it's not good for the man's mental health to have to deal with the woman making rules. What are you talking about? Y'all making these women sleep with y'all to get some money to take care of your kids. You don't think that's traumatizing? But then they want to talk about their mental health and protecting themselves because there's some women out there, they're crazy and you should have chose better. You don't get to generalize because you chose poorly. See, when I'm talking about this deadbeat daddy situation, there's no generalization here. This is literally what happened. They weren't in the home. Nobody kicked them out. They chose not to be there. Now, is that all? No. I've never said it was all. I would never say it's all. But the fact that this continued to happen, when Black women stopped the teenage pregnancy rates, went to college instead of used drugs, but they continued to the cycle of being deadbeat dads, I don't have respect for people who don't break generational curses. I don't. At that point, I feel like I'm talking to a dummy. And y'all have educated men on here, educated lames, okay? Filling your heads with this nonsense. That, it's real toxic for when you got to deal with a woman that's mad because you didn't want to be with her. It's like, I'm not going to keep dealing with that. I'm just going to leave. So you're a quitter. You laid up, you chose to have a baby with this woman. You chose poorly, so now your kids don't get a dad. Eminem didn't give up on his kids. He didn't have a dad. He didn't repeat that cycle. If you can't tell, I'm a fan of Eminem, okay? I used to love Eminem because he had some of the first rap music that I felt I could relate to. You know, it wasn't like just this street hood, gang banger. You know what I'm saying? It was like life is hard at home, and having a mom that's abusing drugs and having a dad that's not there and having to take care of the kids around you and not having a childhood. You know, I loved his music growing up. I really did. Shout out to Marshall Mathers. Okay. What it do? Okay. And one of the reasons I really admire him to this day is because he broke that generational curse. And I don't see these Dusties doing that. I can't respect men that don't break generational curses. I know there's a video that they were showing of this Dusty guy. And he's like, my kids! And he's like banging on the door for his kids and shit, whatever. And like the cops come and arrest him. You know, they like bop him upside the head and arrest him. He's causing a public disturbance. There's a way to handle things and a way to do things. And they're like, you would go through this? I think Kwame was playing the video when Kwame was like, everybody was talking about Kwame. Kwame Brown. He's playing this video. You know, and me and my husband would watch because we thought he was funny, you know. But then he started getting into some of those manosphere talking points, you know, and I was like, oh, shame. Anyways, he was playing a video and he was like, why would a man go through this just to see his kids? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, Kwame, you take care of your kids, right? Would you go around banging on doors and acting a fool? You know they're going to call the cops on you. Go through what exactly? Like you caused that. He caused that on himself, acting a fool in public. He was outside in the hallway. There's other apartments. Nobody wants to hear all that. But they constantly have an excuse being like, a man shouldn't have to go through this to see his kids. Nobody was doing anything to him. He was just banging on a door, being like, my kids, Stella! Like, nigga, get out of here. You don't care about that. A lot of times these dudes want the custody because they want to play games with the woman still. They want a power trip with the woman, you know? And again, that's something I wouldn't know anything about because I don't choose poorly. So choose poorly, pay the consequences. Okay. So you know, that's really pretty much it for this discussion, how I feel. Of course, nobody came, nobody hit the link and disagreed with me. Oh. Because at the end of the day, I think they understand that, you know, the truth is the truth. Nobody kicked y'all out of homes. They chose to leave. And then they chose to not break that cycle. And that's what's very bizarre to me. And to double down and defend that type of behavior. Weird as hell. Weird as hell. I couldn't imagine choosing to procreate with any guy that had that mentality. So, you know, be careful out there, ladies. Because these guys are playing victims. They're playing victims and then they want you to submit. Submit to what? Right, exactly. Exactly. She got him. Got him. Right? Super feminine. The way you have to go through my attorneys to see your kids. I'm going to keep it extra feminine, and you'll have to go through my attorneys. Right? That's so much better than, some black woman yelling. Okay, well, you chose it, bruh. But you pointing out that you're black, that's not going to make me care about your situation. That's your married situation for you to deal with because you created it. And I don't feel sorry for him at all. And he's using something, there are some dads out there whose ex-wives have made it difficult for them to see their children. But that's a case by case basis, and all of these guys are conflating that, the very real reality of that happening sometimes, with their BS stories about women they chose. You chose a woman that didn't work for 10 years. You chose to make 3 babies with her. Now you on YouTube crying tattoo tears. Please. My parents got divorced. My mom didn't get a lawyer. And sometimes they don't. You can work it out. I would think they would try to work it out. But he didn't. So, oh well. Hi, ROA. Good to see you. How long am I going to be live? I'm actually going to jump off of here soon. But thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you came. I remember I was nannying when that song came out. And I was like, I like the verse, you put a spell on me, spell on me. I was like, oh, I like this. I love boy bands. And then I'm listening to, I'm babysitting these kids, and they're like, I'm glad you came. I'm glad you came. And I'm like, huh? So I was just like, turn this off. I was so disturbed. Okay. I just cannot get over that song. I'm like, what is that? Is that innuendo? Innuendo. All right. All right. Or BS in general studies. Exactly. They're going to college being poli-sci majors, and then you don't want to go to grad school, and you want to talk about some college didn't do anything for me. It would have if you went and got an engineering degree. There's almost no one that goes to college and gets an engineering degree that's disappointed. So whose fault is that? Mm-hmm. Girl, I don't even know which part. I'm like, which part? Which part? I went through so much trauma as a child. And I went through so much trauma as a young adult. And I really just the past 2 years decided that I'm not going to go through trauma to prevent other people. And this is something my therapist tells me too. She's like, you got to let people deal with their shit. You've dealt with other people's shit long enough. Now nobody don't like me. Oh, well. Oh, well. Oh, well. I remember that troll. There was a troll a while ago that was like, you're going to be that loud in the suburbs, in the white man's suburbs? Yes, because I have a home. All right? I'm not in a studio apartment. I'm in my home. This isn't some over-policed neighborhood. I can be as loud as I want to be. People think they're being funny dudes. Like, you'll never be a funny dude with me because you're broke. Okay? But yeah. Trauma changed me. It did. It did. It wasn't going through hard things that like made me better. It's just something that, I went through so much, and so many people go through so much because of decisions their parents made, And I didn't know how to advocate for myself because I was always looking out for other people. I thought that was my life, and I didn't set boundaries. I mean, you could do or say almost anything to me for so long. If it wasn't outright abuse, I didn't put a boundary on it. Physical abuse. It's crazy what you lose, because these men don't want to provide and take care of their children. And that's something that I will never forgive my biological father for doing. Never. Never. I don't forgive that. Not taking care of your wife and children. God won't forgive you for that. So hell awaits. Hell awaits the deadbeat dads. Did they know that? Because my deadbeat dad, when I called him to cuss his ass out, he was like, "Well, God forgives me." I was like, "No, he don't." "Oh, you don't know? I just got off the phone with him. What are you talking about? I was just prayed up, praying for another stat. Fuck, paying that another bill got paid. It did. Yeah, I just got them talking to him. He's not going to forgive you, bruh." So then they get old and want to live in la la land and live in delusion. God's not going to forgive you for not taking care of your kids. They don't know that. You got to read the whole Bible, not just the New Testament, okay? Not just a couple of passages that they give you in your AA meetings, okay? Read the scripture. You'll burn in hell for it, for not taking care of your responsibilities. You're going to go to hell, okay? Period. I don't make the rules. Fire and brimstone. Okay, that's why they stopped going to church. Who kicked them out of the church? Because they stopped going to church too. Who kicked them out of the church? Was it Dwight Man? Was it the welfare cheese? "I'm just a cheese. Yes, I'm only a cheese." Was it the welfare cheese? Kicked them out of the church too? They don't want to go anywhere where they have to be responsible. When my father died alone in a nursing home, I was thankful. He reaped what he sowed. The children he did have that stayed with didn't want to be around him. He was a terrible human spouse and father. Yeah, I find it so interesting that these guys think that they're just going to get away with that. Not everyone is as outspoken about deadbeat fathers as I am. But make no mistake about it. Deadbeat fathers will reap what they sow. Deadbeat mothers, deadbeat people, deadbeat parents. Okay? I swear I had white friend's mom like that. She had a pharmacy in her purse. Okay. What you want? But you sit up here getting out of major surgery. My face was swollen. Blood was coming all out of my mouth after I got my wisdom teeth pulled out. And they didn't want to give me a prescription medication for that. You can't ask for anything as a Black woman. They have all these commercials on TV, be like, hey, are you anxious? Are you depressed? Ask your doctor about so-and-so today. You ask your doctor about so-and-so, your doctor's like, are you an addict? Are you on drugs? Why do you want to know about that? It's like, what the hell? Are you an addict? You the one with the pad? The pin in the pad? What? Okay. So I would never be an addict because I will never allow anything to control my life. I will never allow substances to control my life. And people will say all the time, and I hate this, because right now there's conversations going on about addiction that I feel like Black people are being left out of because the crisis isn't impacting our communities the way it's impacting, the majority's communities, right? And so there's this conversation, like so many things in life. You can't control if you're an addict and you'll never know. No, you can control that. You can control that. All right? Was Rough McGruff, Chicago, Illinois? Or was that only you could prevent forest fires? Anyways, the point is, there was a bear, a lion, a tiger, somebody. Rough McGruff. Say no to drugs. Okay? You say no to drugs. You don't take drugs, prescriptions that are not meant for you. You say no to drugs. And that's how you can prevent becoming an addict. Did y'all know that? But they want to pretend they're like, oh, it could happen to anyone. No, it can't. It can't happen to me. Wouldn't let that shit happen to me, though. No, it wouldn't. Because I've already had to deal the price for other people's addiction. And I know what that's like. But you see, they don't criminalize them. They don't criminalize them the way they criminalize Black people for doing it, right? They're victims. It's a disease. And we need to let them be able to do it safe. Give them free this and that. Give them free rehab if they want it. Over and over again. Intervention, all these drug rehab episodes, they didn't have those when we was going through it. When Black folk was going through it, they didn't have those. So the consequence for them using these hardcore drugs, that's why it's so hard for these addicts to hit a bottom, right? Because they get so much help. Their families have money. Look, my family I grew up poor. I saw the effects of addiction on people, and your family's poor, and there's not much you can do. I wasn't interested in repeating that cycle, and that's just the way that it is. I'll stick to a glass of wine, okay? And, I don't drink a lot because it's not good for you. I never drink a lot. Like, I'll have 2 or 3 glasses at most when I go out. Because I need to be in control of my surroundings. I don't want to, be belligerent. I don't want someone to tell me that I'm not being responsible. I can't stand that ish. I told you guys before the story, I was at a friend's drinking, and I made a joke about, I was like, y'all still eating? Whatever, and I'm weird and I'm goofy, and, I don't have this New York cool or whatever. And the girl that was my friend, we're no longer friends because of this incident. Her roommates got mad. Her roommate's friends were like, you talking about our food, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about your food. I was just making a joke. And like, oh, she's drunk. She's drunk. I'm like, I'm drunk because I had a few drinks. I'm drunk. What are you talking about? See, I deliberately do not get drunk so that I can always have my wits about me. So if you have that understanding that you have to constantly have your wits about you, you have to constantly be sober. You don't want to continue generational curses, then you'll make the choices you need to make to not be an addict. Now, I do understand that there are some people who have gotten addicted to the painkillers because their doctor prescribed them and didn't tell them to stop. This was in the early days when you didn't know how addictive those things were. But again, there's so much information out there. Everybody knows now. So, you have to take accountability and responsibility. I had to take accountability and responsibility, and it wasn't mine to take. It wasn't mine to carry. But I had no choice. Life didn't give me a choice. So I'm not here for people making excuses. Try to set you off. Exactly. Because she light skinned. She tried right. And then I would have been the big bad wolf because she light skinned. No, I looked at her eyes. I was like, you ain't ready for this. You ain't ready for this. And because what's going to happen is the shop will be demolished. And I'm not going to do that to these people. And then the only one of us that got money is me. So I'm the one that would have to pay for it. No, get your ass on that subway. All right, my car is pulling up. Get your ass on that subway. And go share that subway with these bums peeing on you and Master Splinter sitting in the chair next to you. You go ahead and do that. That's your life. You ain't got nothing to lose. All black men who complain about their baby mamas, ask them to name their kids art or homeroom teacher. Everything you need to know. Don't even argue. Exactly. They don't know anything about their kids. But there's another, they just don't want to pay child support. Because again, they want that $600 a month, which ain't shit. So that they can try to lure the next woman in and be like, I got money, because that's what women want. Men want looks, men want looks, women want money. So they want their money to be free. Like they didn't just have 3 kids. Bruh, you sat up and had 3 kids. You don't get to date. Get over it. They love to tell single mothers what they can and cannot do. Y'all trying to date and y'all got 3, 4, 5 kids? Give it up. Only a foolish woman would date a man with that many kids. No, I'm sorry. If he got more than 1 kid, I'll give him 1. It's not me. It's not for me. Like I said, you got to have a meal per kid. A meal per kid. You got 3 kids, you better have 3 mil in the bank. And a lot of them don't. Absolutely. Happened the other night when I was at the ATM. Reoccurrence. My head was on a swivel, pepper spray. I'm locked. I used to be so my spray and smile like right. Exactly. I remember I was walking my dog, and it gets a little less suburban as I'm walking for a long period of time. And I noticed a guy, he kind of looked like Kevin Hart. Okay, he was a short guy. And I was like, I keep an eye on you because we're the only people here right now. It wasn't a busy area, and he's got his car. I think he assessed. That's why I said I'll stay heavy until I can learn martial arts. I'm gonna have to keep a few pounds on, because I was like, you ain't picking me up and throwing me in the back of the van. Okay, you better know your surroundings. And most importantly, not that I necessarily thought that guy would kidnap me and throw me in his van, but there have been a lot of stories about that recently. And the bottom line was just that I was aware of my surroundings. I was aware that he and I were the only 2 people in vision. You got to be aware of your surroundings. Now, did you ever listen to the words of Supersonic by J.J. Fod? I just now picked up on the shade. No, I didn't. Is that another 80s hip hop? Then I saw a girl. The girl was, I'm like, oh my God, this is what y'all was doing? People was clapping for this? Oh, Lord. Oh, but I'll have to check it out. Supersonic by JJ Fad. They always hate on Shanae, but she had her own business, always look good and loan them money. That's facts. That's facts. I'm like, y'all was always going to Shanae, and of course, it was always a black woman like that. It was like, how Felicia too. Bye, Felicia. Well, I mean, not Felicia. Felicia's sister in Friday. I always forget Felicia's not dead. Not dead. Not Felicia. The girlfriend. All right, so not Felicia, not Nia Long's character, but his girlfriend. Full, right? She had, how much you need? They always got money, but y'all want to clown them. Come on. That's it. That's an excellent point. They give them passes. They be giving out those N-word passes. And then they want to get online talking about some, why everybody saying our word? Because you let them. Because you let them. Failure to reclaim. You failed to reclaim the word. So give it up. Joe Rogan got the N-word pass from Kimbo Slice, Wiz Khalifa, and Anderson Silva. I don't know two of those guys, but wow, Wiz Khalifa gave him the N-word pass. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. Then they want black women to get up in arms and get upset about it, right? I'm supposed to get in a huff and puff because y'all gave old boy the N-word pass. I'm going to go mind my business and focus on what I need to focus on. Because they ain't going to say it around me. They ain't going to say it around me, though. I know that. A white man, a Hispanic, Asian would never give a black male a pass to call them a racial slur. Exactly. Exactly. No pride. But they want submission. They don't want to be at the bottom. They know black women are getting education, etc., and they are trying to maintain control. They want black women to be lower than them. Exactly. Period. Period. I told y'all before, at PWIs, nope, these dudes are cornballs. These dudes are not funny. So what do? In high school too, in PWIs, in high school and in college, they make fun of black girls and black women so that non-black people will accept them. That's what they do. And they've done it in life. And I'm supposed to worship that? Not happening. Maybe she didn't have a job because he didn't let her work. These men can be controlling. Exactly. Exactly. Period. They lie. They lie so much to play the victim. And again, y'all got to watch playing the victim, because you play something long enough and that's what you become. And nobody cares about a man playing a victim. Oh, Mocha Mommy says, sending healing energy to those of you who had your heart broken by your fathers. And I send that to y'all as well. I'll be honest, my father never had my heart. I don't like deadbeats. I don't like dusties. I don't like dudes with no money. I don't like men that don't take care of their responsibilities. I don't like non-provider males. He never had my heart. But he had my mother's heart and my other siblings, and so I ultimately called him up and cussed him out to let him know, under no uncertain terms, there is no love here for you. So I don't want you hiding in the bushes and ignoring me so you never have to hear it, okay? I'm going to call you up and let you know. There is no love here. You know. But again, especially the people who have never met their fathers. Because I met mine and he wasn't worth my time. I only wish he wasn't worth my mother's time. I only wish she had made that choice. But for the people who haven't met their fathers too, especially, you know, it's very sad for them. And I can't believe that these guys are still out here perpetuating that. But they are. They haven't stopped. They're not willing to break that generational curse. And I think that's weird and gross and like slimy and like ill. You know? Like, I went on this date with this black guy and he later tells me he has a daughter. And I'm like, the fact that you didn't tell me from the jump, to me, it's indicative that your daughter is not playing as large a role in your life as she should. So, deuces, you know? But I think another reason why these guys are like, oh, it doesn't matter if the father's inconsistent as long as he's there, is because a lot of them, their fathers were never there in any capacity. And they wanted their fathers to be there in some capacity. They wanted to know their fathers. They would be willing to put up with that. But again, I don't think that a woman should have to put up with a man's inconsistency and inability to take care of his kids and what they demand for them to contribute to their children. I'm not going to sleep with your raggedy daddy so that he can pop up twice a year. No. If your adult brain can't understand that somebody that created you, who's only willing to pop up twice a year, ain't worth shit. And I know it was hard growing up and dealing with that, but as an adult, that these guys can't understand that and they're still aching for a daddy. That's why they made, Kitten Scamio's their daddy. I just accepted it. Like, hey, in life, you get a lot of things and some things you don't get. I got melanin. I didn't get a father. I got a great husband. Can't have it all. I don't believe you can have it all. Certainly not all at once. Protect your clubhouse. Yeah, protect your peace. No, exactly. Ugh, clubhouse. Gross. My brother said, how do you know he wouldn't abandon your kids? I am a mom. I asked him about himself. He said, I don't know what I would do. You just never know. What? Right. Yo, these dudes are crazy. Crazy. If a kid fell into my arms right now, I was walking down the street and a kid just fell into my arms, everything about how I moved would change. Everything would change. Period. And the fact that they don't have this mentality, you're putting yourself in danger, sleeping with men that have a mentality of we'll see what happens. I'm not taking chances when it comes to my kids. I'm not playing it by ear. I'm not doing some, let's see what's going to happen. Because I grew up with people not caring, and I had to pay the price. I'm not going to do that to my kids. And then so they tell Black women, choose better. So you choose better. Oh, but not like that, right? So you chose better, but that's not what I meant. When I said choose better, what I meant was wait for me for 20 years and get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. My kids will never have a father that's a deadbeat. It'll never happen in a million years. I did that. You're not going to shame me for that at all. Yes, Mocha Mommy. That's exactly. Eminem. I used to love Eminem. And I always thought, I guess maybe I'll marry. I was like, maybe I'll get with a white guy like that. Obviously I thought, okay, I was like, either it'll be Pacey. I swear to God, this is no lie. This is no lie. I thought, okay, I will either marry Pacey, Prince Harry, or Eminem. That was 3 guys on a 10 guy list that I had. I also had Josh Groban on there. Anybody know Josh Groban? He has a very beautiful voice. He's a very beautiful voice. I was like, I could marry Josh Groban. Can't remember the other ones, but it's hard to forget Pacey and Prince Harry, having them on the list, and then they go on to marry a biracial Black and a Black woman, right? I mean, and Eminem, I don't know what's going on with him, but you never know. Okay, you never know. There's a whole scripture about men who should have chose better, should have stayed awake in church. Okay, who kicked them out of the church? They're not there no more. They don't want to go to church neither. So because the men stopped going to church, the pastor will make the whole sermon about what women better do and keep your legs closed. It's like, okay, well, you got to do that because there's no guys here. There's no guys here to listen to you. There's not. Banging on the door for the kids that missed the recital and didn't pay for the piano lessons. Exactly. He's sitting up there, oh, my babies. Boy, if you don't sit your behind down, making a fool of yourself, then he almost gets arrested, or he did get arrested, and they're like, why would a man go through that? Why is he acting like a fool? Nobody made him act that way. And I have seen some videos where like the mom is just like, I don't care, and I'm going to make things hard for you. And they're like, see, why would a man go through that? So you're not going to be in your children's lives because you chose poorly. Weird. McGruff the crying dog. Okay. Yes. I love Pamela Martin. She's great. Oh, Pam. Love Pam. Absolutely. I couldn't stand Gina. I'm sorry, I couldn't stand her because she was always like, Mommy! She was just very whiny. And I was like, shut up. Okay. But yeah, I loved Pam. I loved Pam and Shanae's banter. I loved that. I also liked Pam and Tommy. I liked them as a couple. I always thought like that's the kind of guy that you marry. A guy like Tommy. You ain't got no job, Tommy. Okay. I once told a guy who liked me, your kids should come first, not your dating life. I don't date men with kids. Yup, period. Period. Why is you even here? I absolutely agree with that. I just do. Like I said, most of the time, you got to understand, you making 2-3 kids with a woman, you don't have money to date. It's over. It's over. Hang it up. Okay? They got to have a meal per kid in the bank. A meal per kid in the bank. Don't play Russian roulette with your wombs, ladies. Exactly. Exactly. Choose wisely, you know. And these guys can say, I want you to have my baby. That don't mean anything. Does he want to take care of the baby that he wants you to have? You gotta listen to what they're saying. Because they'll tell you, I want you to have my baby. Break that down. That doesn't mean that he's going to take care of the baby, take care of you, be a decent man, be a provider. None of that. All it means is that he wants you to have his baby. You got to listen. I'm telling you right now, I've never had a man that makes 6 figures or more say to me, I want you to have my baby. It's always these broke dudes. Got to pay attention. That wasn't him saying that to you to get you to sleep with him. That wasn't his guarantee of being there. You know, if a man doesn't show you his reliability by constantly being employed, constantly paying the bills and being a provider, if he doesn't show you that, then if you make a baby with him, you're a fool. That's not a lot. To constantly be employed and be a provider in the relationship. If he does not show you that, it does not matter what he says. Got to understand that. Who's not pretty? Sinead? Okay. Who got 3 kids? I don't know. Well, anyways, thank you guys for being here with me. And yeah, talking about this little topic. Oh, hold on. I missed one of Princess Leah's comments. Sorry, I try to go through and see all these comments. If people just masturbate, a lot of problems would be solved, David Matheson says. I completely agree. Absolutely. And then Princess Leah says, Black men and white women act very similar. They're both okay. Oh God. I can't read that, but yeah. I think the least progressive pairing on the planet are Black men and white women. The least progressive pairing on the planet. Their children are often very, confused about who they are. Because they usually grow up with the mother's family and everyone's telling them that they're Black and calling them racial slurs. Because the father typically doesn't stay and make sure that his children are raised properly. And they also never have conversations about race or racism and, what life is even going to be like for their biracial children. I've already said it before, and I'll continue to say it. I think they are the least progressive pairing on the planet. I'm always very uncomfortable around them. I don't care if they date, Latina woman, an Asian woman, that's always better than them dating Beckisha's. It just is. Because, see, Beckisha, one of the reasons that she goes over there, besides that they pump their heads up, is that she thinks that, you know, the black man is like the white man, but in the black community, right? So she knows, she's like, well, you know, obviously, you know, my daddy keeps his foot on his neck, but they're running things in their community. And so the only way for them to perpetuate that lie is to down black women constantly, which is why they do that. And or they will disassociate from their black women family members, right? So they'll stop having relationships with their black women family members because they want to present to Beckisha that, Becky, you're getting just what you would get from a white guy. I'm just black, right? And it's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Beckisha ultimately comes to understand that these guys don't have any power over here either. And that's why they're mad. And that's why they're mad. And that's why their marriages don't last, if they get married at all. Not a progressive pairing. Okay? Yeah. You know, so I think when it comes to when those two pair up, it's just some of the worst shit I've ever seen. And most importantly, it's very, oh, you said Gina was not pretty. Okay, yeah, Gina. Most importantly, it's very toxic for black women. You have to watch out if you're a black woman, around these Tyrone Beckisha pairings. Now, I'm fine with Becky by herself. And Tyrone, you can be with whoever you want to be with. But when they pair up, the ignorance is out of this world. They're counterproductive, right? They're not progressive at all. It's very, you know, I've told you guys before, I was told by a black male family member with a white woman to not talk about race when I come around. So now I'm supposed to play by different rules and do shit different. I never once told this man what he could or could not say in front of my husband. Talking about race and or racism. Why is that a problem for you guys? Because you want to live in La La Land? So they truly live, the Tyrone Beckisha couples, they live in La La Land. They live in La La Land. The world that they want to exist doesn't exist. Because he doesn't have the power in his community that the white man has in his. He's coddled. He's glorified. But power comes from protecting and providing and being that source. They're not a source of protection and provision. Nobody goes to them in the black community to get jobs. The jobs available in the community are, you know, in the hair shops, and that they don't own. The car shops is owned by a different group of people. They don't own that. The corner stores is owned by a different group of people. They don't own that. So the inevitability of Keisha understanding that this isn't some chocolate covered situation here. It's a very different situation. They find out the hard way. Okay? They find out the hard way. But while they want to play that game, it's always like at the expense of the Black woman, right? Like, keep your mouth shut so we can live in delusion and play this game together, right? And for me, I felt like it was a lot of jealousy and undercover bitterness and resentment for me to come around in my interracial relationship and prove to them that no, you're not stealing nobody's man because nobody cares. There's plenty of people out here. Anybody can do what anybody does. So, and I did it better. And look who's still in charge. Because they don't want to compete. They don't want to do that work. That doesn't mean that that's not the way the game is played. Y'all can sit back and try not to compete and not get your shit together for 50, 100 years. And it's still not going to change that the only way to be taken seriously as a man is to compete with other men. So, yeah. I had to learn it the hard way. Those are not pairings that you want to be around. It's always going to be at the expense of the Black woman. That these people are together. They realize they can't do anything to white men. So they're like, well, then let's try to bring down the Black woman, right? It's very sad. It's very sad because, I'd love to be supportive of everyone's relationships, but I've only ever seen foolery from Tyrone's and Beckisha's. So, all right. So, that's it. Kanye West. The conversation, inconsistent dads or not, nobody took them out of the homes. An inconsistent father is an absent father because a daddy does, okay? A daddy does, all right? So, that's it. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to get going, and I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye.